Good morning, everybody. Welcome to PhotoJoseph's Photo Moment. This is the extended Q&A session off of the original Q&A session. So we just answered 3 specific questions that came in. Now we're just going to address some of the questions that came up in the chat room while this was being recorded live. So good morning again, everybody in the chat room. Lovely to see you all here. And let's see what's coming up. So Bart Johnson says, a program called Easy Edit was just updated to version 2 and can process 10-bit GH5 video files to ProRes for easy editing. Oh, that's cool. And I saw you wrote something else afterwards. Correction to my previous tip, the program is called EdiRedit, not Easy Edit. Okay, so EdiRedit, Edit Ready, Edit Ready is apparently an app for converting your 10-bit ProRes files, 10-bit files into ProRes. So let's, let me see if I can find this guy. Let's go to Safari's. And make this nice and big. Oop. There we go. Okay, I think my trackpad is just, oh, maybe that's it. My table has a little flex to it. I wonder if that's the problem that I'm having. That might be it. Anyway, so edit, great, now that scrolled off screen. Edit ready. Edit ready. Edit ready, transcoding any camera source without the hassle. Awesome. Let's get this full screen here. So there you go, Edit Ready, easy, fast, and powerful transcoding for video professionals. Rewrap or transcode media to edit, optimize masters and proxies. Cool. Well, there you go. Divergent Media is the company. Just Google Edit Ready, or divergentmedia.com/editready. That's great. Thank you very much for sharing that with us, Bart. That's cool. And it's the problem here, just in case anybody's kind of going, well, I don't get it. Why are we even talking about this? The GH5 shoots these 10-bit files that QuickTime itself doesn't actually play yet. Go figure. You can open them into Final Cut Pro. You can open them into DaVinci Resolve 14, the Pro version, or the previous version, again, the Pro one, the paid version, but not a whole lot of other things. Premiere doesn't still, as far as I know, still doesn't handle it, but apparently this will convert it into a mode that can handle it, so that's awesome. Thank you, Bart, for sharing that with us. Let's see here. Shiva Kumar says, when you have set it to video priority, we should burst. Oh, I guess we're talking, okay, we're talking about that video recording stills during video mode. He's saying when you set it to video priority, but you want to shoot in burst, will it allow it without affecting the video that's being recorded? In burst mode, shoot, I wish I'd seen this question before. That would have been good to tie into the other one. I don't know. Let's find out. Let me unplug this and set this to video priority and start recording. Let's put this into fast burst and start recording video. And doesn't look like it is. It looks like it only recorded 1, but let's just see. I'll stop recording there. Hit play and look at the grid of pictures. Oh no, it did. Did it? Oh no, that's from earlier. So no, it didn't. It just recorded the 1. So you can't do burst still recording. Remember, you can always extract still frames out of the movie file because you're shooting 4K, right? You're shooting 4K. So you can always extract them out of there, but no, it doesn't go into burst mode. It just shoots a single picture. All righty. Let's see. Martin Pitt says, newbie question, UK-based, but debating if better to use PAL or NTSC. Likewise, is better to be recording in 25/30 or 50/60. Well, that would be the difference. PAL or NTSC, would like your viewpoint. Okay, that's a great question. As I'm sure you know, if you're shooting for broadcast, then you have to shoot to those broadcast standards. So if you're in the UK, then you have to deliver in PAL, which is 25 frames per second. If you're in the US or any NTSC country, you have to deliver in NTSC 29.97 or 59.94. I guess I would imagine in PAL countries you could also deliver in 50. I don't know, but you have to deliver for broadcast in the specs that they require, and the specs are usually really, really strict. Like it's exactly like this, and there's no wavering on it. But when it comes to YouTube or any online video, it's whatever you want. So you can shoot however you see fit. So how would you choose? I would go to NTSC because then I get the higher, I can go up to 60 frames per second with sound, whereas with PAL mode, the highest I could get is 50. So I'm getting an extra 10 frames per second. So that right there would be enough for me, right? So I would be shooting in 60 so that I can deliver in 30 but have a 2x slowdown. That would be my choice. Of course, if you want the cinema movie mode look, then you're going to need to go down to 24, which if you're in, which I know 25 is very close to 24, so you do get that very similar look to the cinema look. But if you're shooting in NTSC mode, you can go to 23.98, which is actually 23.976. And you can get that cinema look while still in an NTSC format, or you can go to the 24 Hertz mode, which gives you true 24p, that's 24.00 frames per second. Visually, obviously very little, if any, difference at all as far as what the human eye can see. But if you're going to be conforming to film, then you have to go to 24, true 24. Although you can also take that 23.98 and fudge it. But anyway, that's a different topic. But as far as does it matter? If you're going online, no, it does not matter. You shoot whatever you want. If you're going to broadcast, it matters very, 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 very much. If you are going to just choose anything at random because it doesn't matter to you, then I would go for the NTSC so that you can get 60. Hopefully that answers your question. All right, next up, Sully says, scrolls off again. Sully says, here we go. How was your weekend? Why, it was very nice, thank you. Question, is there a way to output a 60 to 180 FPS file instead of a confirmed, I think you mean conformed 24p 30, 60 to 180? Oh, okay, so you want to shoot in the 60p or 180p, so 1080p mode, 180 frames per second, but not get that conformed back to 30 or 24 or whatever you have the camera set to. No, the file will be conformed back to the frame rate that the camera is set to, the kind of the default setting. It's whether you're recording in 30 or 24, whatever it is, it will get conformed back to that. But you put that on your timeline in your NLE, whether it's Premiere, Final Cut, whatever, and you would have to do the math, but you can do the math and get that back out to its full frame by frame, 180 frame per second playback at that 180 frames per second. But I'm not quite sure why you'd want that. Why would you want that? Tell me why you'd want that. I'm curious to know what you would do with that, because nothing's going to play 180 frames per second actually at 180 frames per second. It's designed to play it back at the slower frame rate, so you get the slow motion. 60p would be the highest kind of standard playback. I guess there are some systems that do 120 frames per second, aren't they? But I've never actually seen one of those before. Let's see here. Fake Cube says, do you ever do anything with pinhole photography? I have not. I do have this cool lens from Olympus. It's a Micro Four Thirds lens from Olympus. It's like 40 bucks or something, maybe 50, and it is effectively a pinhole lens. It's not really, it's like a fixed focal length, super small lens, really fat depth of field. The thing is about this thick. Put it on a small mirrorless camera and it just slides into your pocket. It's kind of a funny little thing. I got it for fun. I haven't really used it that much, but straight up pinhole, I have not. But you could, I mean, you could actually make, you could take one of these, drill a small hole in it, and now you got a pinhole lens for your camera, right? You could try that, see what happens. I would imagine the size is very important, so I would start with a small one and go bigger. So that's what I would do. All right, Fake Cube says, won't see your question if you don't add, oh, look at that. Fake Cube is telling people to, yes, please add the type @PhotoJoseph in front of your questions if you want me to see it, otherwise I won't because there's too much other stuff going by. All right, well, let's see, I will respond because it looks like someone was trying to ask a question. Fun with the Bugs says, is shooting in 24p directly from the camera any different than recording into 60p and rendering into 24? Not considering slow motion differences in recording 60. Well, that's why you would do record 60 for 24 is to get slow motion. Shooting 24p directly, and then any different than recording in 60p and rendering in 24. If you record 60p and render in 24, you're going to get a slowdown, right? You're taking your 60p, 60 frames, and stretching them out over time so that you have, assuming you're not throwing away frames. If you take a 60p and simply conform it to 24 without doing a slowdown, then you're going to be throwing away data. And the 60 to 24 is not an perfectly even conversion. It would actually be 59.94. Let's do that math real quick. Wait, it would be, if you're shooting 60, oops, wrong button. If you're shooting 60, that's actually 59.94. So 59.94, if you're conforming to 29.97, that's a 2 to 1. So that, oops, sorry, 59.95, let's get that right. So that is 2 to 1, so that's exactly every other frame. 24, it wouldn't be 24, it'd be 23.976. It is every 2.5 frames. So there is an oddity in there. It's kind of like 2 on, 3 off, 2 on, 3 off type of a thing. It's a weird pattern that has to happen. It's going to look fine, but if you look really closely, there is going to be that pattern in there. So you'd be throwing away data, so you probably don't want to do that. So if you're shooting 424, then shoot it double that frame rate if you want that option to do slow motion. So you're shooting 24 and you want the slow motion option to shoot in 48 so that you can do an easy drop back to 24 and still get the 2x slow motion. That would be my advice. Okay, next up, Kevin Miller says, enjoying the show live for the first time from sunny Belgium. Kevin, it's that Kevin Miller. Hello, Kevin Miller. Good to see you, my old friend. Trevor Panicky says, is there any way to get the slide out touchscreen menu off of the screen? Oh, no. You're talking about, okay, let's put this thing up. He is talking about, I mean, you can get, yeah, okay, there is. You can get it out by simply hitting the display button so all the menus go away, but that's probably not what you really mean. You probably mean just get rid of it entirely. No, there is not. So let's just take a quick look at what he's talking about in here. Fire this thing back up, sync it up to the system. And come on, there it is. Okay, so that's on. Let's go back to here. He is talking about on the right-hand side, you see there's the little FN, little arrow, and the painter thing. If I tap that with my finger, it slides out. Now you're seeing it not covering any part of the screen. I am part of the image. I am seeing it cover part of the image because it's a different aspect ratio screen. But no, the only way to get rid of that would be to hit the display button until it is. Oh, no, come on, really? It doesn't go away. No, come on, really? Can you really not get rid of it? Okay, I'm going to unplug the HDMI because that doesn't seem right. I'm sure that thing will go away. Oh my God, you're right, it doesn't go away. How funny is that? Let me go into movie mode and see. It doesn't. Wow, okay. I stand corrected. Apparently you cannot get rid of that. Sorry. Apparently the answer is no. Alrighty. Let's see here. What else is there? Andy says, any update on the time-lapse 60 FPS issue? Oh, no, I did not get an answer to that. Why you can't do time-lapse to 60 FPS. No, I did ask. I sent an email off to Panasonic. I have not heard back. So I will address it assuming I do hear back from them. If I don't hear back right away, it usually means somebody went, oh, that's confusing. Now I got to figure it out, which could be a good thing. So I will let you know if I hear about. Brent says, you really hate that slide-out menu. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know. That is weird. It won't die. Everybody's agreeing. It won't die. Travis Pastor says, how important is V-Log for the GH5? Does it make that much of a difference when color grading? I currently shoot in natural and color grading doesn't look too bad. Well, it shouldn't look too bad. Color grading should look fantastic. V-Log, this is one of the reasons, and I'm not making this up, this is one of the reasons that it's an add-on. You have to pay money to add it on. V-Log is something that most people should not use. Straight up. If you don't know how to use V-Log, don't use V-Log until you learn how to use V-Log. Because if you don't know how to grade it, then you're going to end up with inferior footage to what you could have gotten just shooting in the camera in any other mode. Panasonic doesn't want to have to deal with tech support calls for people going, I put my camera in this V-Log mode and my footage looks like crap. Yes, it does, because you have to grade it. So shooting in V-Log, there's a very specific way to shoot it. You have to shoot with a particular exposure settings, and you have to absolutely grade it afterwards or apply a LUT, a lookup table, to kind of auto-grade it for you. But you probably want to grade it manually. That's kind of the point of doing it. One of the advantages to shooting in V-Log is you get extended dynamic range. You get more dynamic range. So if you know what you're doing, if you know how to use it, you can get a couple of extra stops of shadow and highlight detail, but you have to know how to do it. This is not a push the button, set the camera, and go. So it is a fantastic feature, but it does require experience and knowledge, of which I have about this much, which is why I haven't done any more talking about it other than showing you how to install it. I need to spend more time learning it. I've got a couple of resources that I'm going to spend a bunch of time learning and shooting with and experimenting with before I even pretend to try to talk to you guys about it. One of the reasons is it is a polarizing issue, and if I get something wrong, I will be crucified, and I'm not ready for that. So I will. I'm going to take my time, really understand it, research it, and totally know what I'm talking about before I talk to you guys about it. So bear with me on that one, please. Excuse me. So let's see here. What else we got? Sheila House says, is there a way to capture into recording the heads-up display that is showing all the settings one is using while filmmaking? Yes, absolutely, Sheila. So that's what you're seeing whenever, I just unplugged everything. Show you exactly how to do it. This is what you're seeing when I'm showing you features. And come back on. Is it gonna come? Hello? Oh, I switched out of that mode. Let me go back to this mode. And come on. There it is. Okay. So you are seeing that display right now. If I was recording to an external recorder, this is what you're seeing on screen is exactly what would be being recorded. I turn that off by going into, and I've got this into my custom menu, going into the HDMI record output settings, going to info display and turning that off. As soon as I hit that, all this is going to disappear. See, all gone. Now I see it, you don't. I go back, I turn it back on, and it comes back again. So the way that you would record that is with an external recorder. So that toggle, info display is what it's called. When it's on, it is sending everything that I'm seeing on my screen out over the HDMI, which means it's embedded in the video, which means an external recorder will pick that up. As far as, assuming you don't want to do that because you actually want to record on the external recorder a clean image, then you have to turn that off. Do not make the mistake of leaving that on. I did that once, don't do that. Then you get an image on screen, you're going, I can't do anything with this because it's got all this crap all over my screen, all over my image. As far as recording internally, if you want to record internally with that menu system on there, no, you can't do it. You can only do it recorded externally. So, hope that answers your question, Sheila. Alrighty, next up. Try and do this with the correct hand here. Steve Holt says, I like to swap my dial so the 180-degree shutter wheel is in front. This way I bump it less. My problem is it won't save in C1 or C2 mode, only in the M mode. Interesting. So Steve, you're saying that if you swap the dials and then save that to a custom function mode, that it swaps back? Well, I guess we're just going to have to try this out, aren't we? Okay, I'm going to have to find this. Obviously not prepared for this question, so this will take me a moment to find, but let's see here. That is in, so I'm in aperture priority mode. Well, you probably want to be in cinema mode. Okay, so let's see here. Let me switch back to here. I'm going to go into a cinema creative movie mode. And why am I not getting the display out on there? I don't know why I'm not getting the display out on there. Down convert is off, that's why. Okay, down convert my video signal out, and it should come up. Yep, there it is. Okay. So, all right, I'm in creative movie mode, and I'm going to go to find that custom setting, which is probably here under operation, dial set. There we go. So, assign dials. Okay, so this is what you're swapping. So right now, the rear one is set to f-stop, and the front one is set to shutter speed. Is that right? And no, that's the other way around. Sorry. The front one is set to f-stop aperture, and the rear one is set to shutter speed. So you're wanting to set it this way. Okay, so now that it's that way, when I hit my thumb dial, the rear dial, it is changing the aperture. The front dial, it is changing the shutter angle. Okay, very good. So now you're saying you save that to a custom function, which would be, oh God, where's that? Is that under here? Custom set memory, there we go. Save this to, which one am I not using? I want to override anything good. Yeah, we'll go C33. I don't think I'm using that. So I'm going to save that to C33, overwrite current. Yes, that is completed. That is now overwritten. Okay, now I'm going to switch the dial on the top. Let's go back to this because I know we'll lose video out here for a moment. Switch the dial on top back to C3. Oh, it didn't lose it. Okay, let's go back out to here. Tap the top left corner and tap C3-3. That's what that is. And now when I rotate the front dial, it's changing shutter angle. So it's working, my friend. Remember, you have to save the setting and then overwrite the custom function. So not quite sure where that was going wrong for you, but it's working for me. Now I got to set it back because I don't want that there. Go back to my movie mode and go back to back to here, back to operation. Oops, wrong one. Back to operation and dial set, and I wanted it this way. There we go. Okay, cool. So I don't know why it's not working for you, but I just did it and it works. So hopefully you can get that sorted out. All right, next up. B. Rich says to get rid of the tab in the display, go into the touch settings. That touch tab. Oh, yeah, you can do it. You're right. Oh, you are such a genius. Let's see here. All right, let's go back and figure this out. So this is touch settings, which is, where's that? Is it under here? Monitor display, perhaps. Touch settings, touch tab, off. Haha, look at that. That is awesome. Thank you, Mr. B. Rich. You are awesome, and you have just made a lot of people on this show very, very happy. No doubt. All right, now I got to turn that back on because I want that thing. Where was it? Operation, touch settings, and touch tab on. Thank you, B. Rich. I love that. God, problem solving in real time. Travis says, awesome, thanks for your help. Your channel has been super helpful for a new shitter. Awesome. Well, if it's super helpful, do not forget, there is that little $ button down there, that super chat button. You can always click that guy and contribute. Also, you have the option of contributing to the Patreon, which is a lovely, lovely way to do it. It's starting to get a little bit of traction on the Patreon, so it's about time for me to start doing something custom on there for the those who have, there we go, that right there, Patreon. Those who are contributing there. I'm thinking that what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of reformat the Patreon. It's been on my list of things to do for about a month now. I keep pushing it farther down. But to do a private show like this that's just for the Patreon contributors at a certain level. So something to consider. All right, let's see here. Anything else? That's it. That is all of them. Oh, no, there's one more. Jesse says, how do I use the stop motion feature? Haven't gotten around to test it yet. I will do a whole show on the stop motion thing. That's worthy of a whole show. But basically, the stop motion, the whole idea behind stop motion is for doing like stop motion animations, claymation kind of stuff when moving one thing at a time. Stop motion can be kind of fun. I've never done anything big with it. Actually, it's not true. I did a Lego thing with my son years ago. I think we shot it on the iPad though. Go figure. But stop motion can be a lot of fun. Okay, that's that. We're gonna knock this out, guys. Thank you. Okay, last one. Looks DKM says, is the GH5 good for shooting multiple subjects at the same time? I want to use it for filming group debates and discussion. I'm not sure what you mean, shooting multiple subjects at the same time. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. I mean, the camera can only point one direction at once. Rephrase your question, please. Adrian, how do I stop screen dimming after a few seconds? You can't. There's a limit. There's the screen dimming that would be in the display modes, monitor display, and then you go into the, did I go too far? Is it monitor? No, it's like under economy. Where's the economy settings? Economy. Is that, maybe it's under here. I always forget where these things, there we go. Economy, sleep mode with Wi-Fi, auto LVF, monitor off. When's that gonna go off? Power save mode, that's the dimming one. So if you turn that off, I think that you will get, I think it doesn't dim when that is off. I think that's how that works. I'm gonna unplug it and just see. So I'm not shooting now. You saw that my AVF, my dimming is off. I'll flip it forward like this so we can see if it dims. I think that might be the one. That might actually be what you're looking for. Brent Kaplan says, I use it to make a hyperlapse. Sorry, I don't know what the first part of the question was. Use what? Use the time lapse? Oh, you're saying use time lapse probably to do hyperlapse? That's cool. Oh yeah, absolutely. Why not, right? Hyperlapse, time lapse would be shooting every like 5 seconds or something. You can do a hyperlapse with it. There's all kinds of cool things you can do. Fun stuff. What was that question I was waiting to get rephrased? That was from not from Jesse. That was from somebody else. I don't know. Somebody else I'd asked you to rephrase a question, but we're about to bail out of here. So if I don't get a rephrasing on that super quickly, then, oh, that's right, it didn't have me tagged. That's what it was. Yeah, I don't even know where it went now. It scrolled off screen. Anyway, oh, right, shooting multiple subjects at the same time. That was the question I was waiting for. Adrian says, okay, cool, as though I thought my exposure was going dark. Yeah, oh no, your exposure is not going to change. You see that still, oh, it says monitor display off, so it did just turn it off. So there you go, it popped up. Yeah, there's a limit to what you can set on the economy there, I suppose. Sleep mode off. Yeah, because you can't turn them off entirely. Oh no, auto LVF monitor off. Set that to off, right. If you set this to off, oops. Hey, what happened to my picture? Oh, I unplugged it. Smart boy here. There we go. If I set this to off, economy, auto LVF to off, now it should not. And let me set the sleep to off as well, otherwise obviously it's going to sleep. So everything is off. So now, let's go back to this. I'm going to unplug this again, just to make sure we're fully legit, and get the reflection off of that, so the glare off of that. So now I'm going to leave it, and let's see, that should not change at all. Okay, so that's that. Now we have to wait a few minutes, and now we have time for another question, so I want to see if this does anything. This should not change at all now. It should not turn off. Yeah, that's what it should be. Sully's saying, at least when I tested it, ran for 10 minutes with no dimming. Sully has probably said earlier, option 1 and 3 will always dim, 2 will not. Right. Let's see here. Oh, okay, here it looks DZ. You gotta at PhotoJoseph me. I'm just happening to see this, but you type at PhotoJoseph in front of your question or comment to make sure that I see it, otherwise I miss it. It's saying, can it shoot 5 people all sat down and interacting with each other like how you are sat now, but with 4 others beside you? Oh, well, that's just the lens. That's just whatever lens you choose. Choose a wide enough lens or put the camera far enough away, and yeah, absolutely. Of course, that's just the lens. Any camera can do that. It just depends on the lens you put on it. So, but the GH5 obviously would be a fabulous option because it's an amazing camera. But you could shoot 5 people in a group talking with your iPhone. You just get far enough back. So I probably don't even have to get that far back. It's a pretty wide angle field of view on there. So it's just about that. Joshua says, when shooting RAW, I couldn't see the thumbnails of the RAW files on my Windows PC. I found Fast Picture Viewer Codec. It's $10, but you can demo it to see if it works for you. Okay, I don't have a PC, so I can't demo it if that's what you're saying. I don't know if they have a trial version because I've never seen it before, but that is the thumbnails. That's going to be up to your operating system to support. So again, not a Windows user, no idea where the support is on that right now. It might just be that you need to update to the latest version of Windows, or it may be that they haven't written in support for that. On the Mac OS, they do have support for the GH5, so I see the thumbnails in there. Pretty sure that's right. Yeah, that's right. So you do see the thumbnails in there. If you're to open it in an app like Photoshop or Lightroom, something that's using their own RAW decoder, then they also have to write support for it. And they don't both have to be there, right? Lightroom can support it, Adobe can support it, while the operating system does not. And all that means is you won't see the thumbnails. You try to open it in the Finder or in Explorer, is that what it's called in Windows? Just the basic operating system. You're not going to see it, but if you open it in the Adobe app, you will see it. So there's that. That's still on. That's good. Joshua says, when shooting in RAW, I just answered that. Felix says, where can I change the settings so I actually see all changes, aperture shutter on the screen in real time? That is the real-time preview. I don't want to mess with this right now because I want to leave it alone, but that is the preview, exposure preview setting. We actually did a video about that. So I'm going to, it was a Q&A question last week. So we're going to link to that up here. So you'll have to come back and find that later, or look at last week's Q&A, and there is one on there. It's called, I think it's called Exposure Preview. So look for that, and that answers your question. Fake Cube says, oh, by the way, you asked me to tell you how those CP filters worked out. Oh, that's a brand, right? I got the high transmission B&W ones. I was skeptical, but they work great. Great. Okay, cool. If you haven't tweeted that to me yet, please do, and do it on Twitter so that I can grab that and add that to my list. I've got to do these. What do you call it? Neutral density filter exploration sometime. I'll add that to the list. Get that out to me. Ninja Killer said, ooh, cool name. Can you do night lapses with a GH5? So how do you do it? Night lapses. Yeah, it's just a time lapse at night, right? Am I missing something? It's just a time lapse that happens at night, right? Isn't that what you mean? Maybe you mean something else. Maybe there's something funky time lapse, a night lapse that I'm not familiar with that term. Looks DKM says, thank you so much. I've been watching your videos for a few months now. Cannot wait for my GH5 to arrive. Awesome. Thank you for your support. You are quite welcome. Thorsten says, have you noticed the Panasonic made a big advantage of autofocus with the last first firmware update? Now it works really great with one area autofocus. There were no changes in the firmware update to autofocus. That'd be nice if there were, but there weren't. So if you set it to one area autofocus, that's where you're going to get the best autofocus, supposedly. That's what Panasonic is telling us. So there's that. Okay, last one, Ninja Killer. I gotta go. I plan on shooting the solar eclipse this summer. What settings, lenses would you recommend for the GH5? Oh, good Lord, I don't know anything about shooting eclipses. I know that's a whole different soup of bananas. Who comes up with this crap? Seriously. I don't know anything about shooting the eclipse. That's awesome. You're going to get it. I am going to be out of the country then, nowhere near the arc. What is it called? So I'm totally going to miss it. C'est la vie. But sorry, I can't give you any advice whatsoever about that, except don't look directly into the sun. That's about all I can tell you. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I got to wrap this thing up. It is like we've been here for a week now. I don't know what we're doing tomorrow. I have to figure that out. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye-bye.